This episode contains depictions of attempted suicide. Discretion is advised.
I'm Sergeant Angie Tetley,
And I'm the best part of your day, Constable Brennan Martin.
and this is Called to Serve.
Let's go. Constable Jon Odland, welcome to Call to Serve. Pumped to have you here today. I've known you for a long time. Ange knows you as well from your very early days in one district. We're going to get to all that stuff.
Yes.
So very happy to have you, pal. Thankful that you're doing this.
Happy to be here.
Before we get going, it's going to give you a little intro here. Constable Jon Odland, also known as DJ JO, because you have been a part-time DJ with our Run with the Recruiter program. Thanks very much. You stole
Known
my
as
job.
DJ JO by you.
Yeah, just
Yes.
by me. DJ JO. And I couldn't help but notice that that job was swiftly taken when you took over. So thank you for doing that with Run with the Recruiter. Plug there. Anyway, you have been on the job for approximately 21, 22 years. You were in recruit class 149. You've received a whole bunch of medals and awards over the years. You've been deployed to a whole bunch of different places. District 1, Hawk, the field training unit, District 3, and you're back in the field training unit, and we're going to get on with that. That seems to be a super big passion. We're very pleased to have you, pal, and let's get into this.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We a lot of the people, the members that we have on the show, have some sort of policing in their background or a member of their family or something like that, and you don't. So I kind of wanted to go through your story from where you grew up and your schooling and stuff, and how you came to starting with policing.
Yeah. I started at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah.
I was born at an early age. So my mother, who happened to be in the hospital at the time. So I was born here in Calgary. My family had moved from, my parents had lived in Banff for quite a few years. My older siblings were both born in Banff. They moved to Calgary for a little while, and myself, my younger brother, were born in Calgary. And then very shortly after that, about 3 years later, we moved back to Banff. So I grew up in Banff. Like you said, there's nobody really in my family that was policing or military or anything. I just knew sort of from an early age that it was something that I was really interested in, that I was interested in policing. I'd look at the RCMP cars when they went by, and I'd always stick my face up on the side of the car looking for the shotgun in there for whatever reason, or if there was a gun in there, or what was in there, right, is what it was curious.
That comes up all the time.
Yeah.
Guys,
Something about it. It's
little
just
boys want to
Little
look in
boys
and see
guns
the
in
gun.
police
Right?
cars. You got that right.
I do remember one story, though, as I did say when I was probably at some juncture in youth when I had some fight with my older brother that I wanted to grow up to be a cop so I could put him in jail. That was my motivation. Much to my chagrin, he's quite a law-abiding citizen, so I just haven't had the opportunity.
Dang it.
I mean, there was also, I wanted to be a garbage man so I could throw my younger brother out, so I don't know which route I would have gone on that one, but that was sort of motivation. And yeah, I grew up in Banff. I don't really know how it is that I became interested in policing. It was just something that I always knew.
Yeah.
I had an interest in it through high school. I did have an opportunity early on in high school. Some family friends of ours, his brother actually was an Edmonton Police Service member, and he was when I met him, he was a staff sergeant in recruiting, but he'd had a pretty storied career. He'd been a tactical member, was a bomb tech, was actually very good representation of that, and so he'd arranged for me to go up, I think in grade 12. I went up to Edmonton to kind of get a little bit of a tour on their headquarters and do just a little bit of a peek into what that world would sort of look like, and so it definitely didn't dissuade me from it. So it was definitely something that held my interest. So kind of always pursued it. One of the best pieces of advice that he gave me was because he knew I was just finishing high school. I was pretty young.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not getting hired. We're not hiring you right after high school.
Yeah.
Typically that's not when it happens. And he said, in the interim, you're going to have to decide what it is you want to do. It is a profession. It's a career that you're wanting to pursue. But he said, don't necessarily just go do something because you think it'll make you better as a police officer.
Right.
Go get a job as a security guard or take criminal justice in school. He said, not there's anything wrong with that. He says, if you want to go to school and take criminal justice, by all means,
absolutely,
go do that. If that's something you want to do. But he says it's equally valuable for you to pursue something that's not related to law enforcement. He said, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be, he said, because we hire, and at the time, and I think it's still pretty accurate now, he says, we hire people from all different backgrounds and walks of life. And so we just need you to have some kind of real world adult experience. And so if there's something else you want to pursue, by all means, like, please do that.
It's a very common question for potential applicants. They're like, well, I'm out of high school, or, I want to go to post-secondary. Obviously, I need to take criminology or criminal justice. And absolutely not. Like, take whatever you want to take. We just want to we want you to have that experience, interacting with people, building those interpersonal skills, showing that you can finish something all the way through, like, whatever schooling you wanted. So what did you decide to do in school?
So, my background, my family background. So my father was an electrician for years and years, and so he ran an electrical company in Banff. My older brother had just started in the trade as well, and so I decided to start in the trade. So I started as an electrician.
That's a
out of
great
high
one.
school. Yeah, and so always still had my eye on being a police officer. I was working towards that, but definitely was a great career. Like, I don't regret any time that I spent in the trades, getting some practical skills, and it's like
Totally.
Excellent environment. And we've talked a little bit about this, about how much of the trade environment like translates to policing.
For
That
sure.
you wouldn't think.
Yeah.
Well, especially as it relates to teams, because you got to work with other people. You have to work through conflict. You have to work on the overall task and project.
Yeah, like it was a good environment to step into as a 18-year-old kid, because really they're all like you have the whole range of people working on a construction site.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a huge variation in their backgrounds, maybe their like socially, how they interact, how they talk, like all of it. So you get a really good
Communication,
let's say communication styles. Like, you sort of see it all. And like, it is, for lack of a better term, like, it's a big kid environment. Like, it's a grown up world, and you have to deal with clients. You have to deal with all kinds of people. And like the point you said, we're working on a team, like working on a construction crew is probably the closest parallel that I've had to working in policing, right? Because sometimes the way that I'm a good teammate on my patrol team is by going out and doing my job.
Yeah.
Like, by myself in the car, but I have to go take that call. Otherwise, somebody else has to. And it can be similar in the trades. You're working on a crew. It's like, if I'm slagging and I'm not doing my job, then it just means someone else is going to have to come and pick up that slack.
the slack, yeah.
Not necessarily working shoulder to shoulder all the time with somebody, but being a good teammate or good crew member is like, you go do your job.
J.O., I know that your first exposure was as an auxiliary. Do you want to explain how old you were and the thought process that you had to go and take a look at that opportunity?
For those who don't know, I know they still have the program, but the RCMP has an auxiliary constable program. So it's part of their community policing model, where they have essentially volunteers within their community that do take some training, get some uniforms. They go out there as auxiliary members, and so I'm sure I'm sure the program's evolved over the years. But the time, this is about 2002, is when I got involved in that. And I had looked at it at one point, and I can't remember. I think the guy didn't call me back, or whoever the member in the detachment was hadn't called me back. So I'd kind of
Feeling defeated.
Well, I kind of hadn't pursued it, and then I remember having a discussion with my mom, and I was living down the street from the fire hall,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I could just
Be a fireman.
I could go volunteer as a firefighter. I'm like, I could just go be that. And I'm like, hey, Mom, I think maybe I'm gonna go, like, because like there, it's, I'm like, it would be awesome because I live close, because like I could get on lots of calls because I'd be right there.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, this could work out for me. And she's like, and my mom, rest her soul, she's like, well, you never thought about doing that before. Like, you always wanted to be a cop. Why don't you just go ask one more time to see if this auxiliary thing might work out?
Way to go, Mom. Follow your dreams.
Right? So,
Follow your
like I
dreams.
said, dodge the bullet there. Otherwise, we might not be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd be working my life as a
The
firefighter.
bucket heads. No offense. I'm married to one, so.
Right? I mean, they're good people. We've got no problem with them.
They're good people.
They're good people.
No, we love
There's
them.
a but usually. But anyways, so I went down, and it actually sort of worked out quite well for me, because the program had been shifted to a new member, and there's literally only one member I knew in the whole detachment, kind of friends of our family, and he happened to be the corporal that was in charge of it. So I don't know how much, when they were selecting people, how much of his finger was on the scale getting me in there.
Who cares,
I got in
man?
there. Yeah, so I got in there. I got in there quite young. Looking back now, especially with the experience I have in policing, I kind of shake my head at some of the stuff. Like, we'd had a weekend of training, and they gave me a stick and a pepper spray and a uniform, and like,
It's kind of crazy.
It was, and I'm
crazy.
driving around just like having the time of my life in downtown Banff in the middle of the night when the bars close, and like, Yeah, all
And
kinds
it's
of stuff.
wild in Banff when the
It can
bars
be-
close. Yeah,
it
for
can be
sure.
quite wild. So it was a good time, but that was sort of my introduction to policing. RCMP is a good organization. Like there's lots of really, really good people, and I met some fantastic members. For myself, I never really did consider the RCMP. Like lots of people that live rural, and that's the police that they're
That they
used
know,
to,
yeah.
that they know do go down that career path. And just for me, the biggest reason was I knew I didn't want to leave this area.
Yeah.
I had, because I'd gone on the recruiting trip, I had considered Edmonton as well. I just about
We
ended
love
up,
you, EPS
I just
and
about ended up as a
RCMP.
firefighter, and then I just about ended up trying to be a cop in Edmonton. My goodness, somebody's like got their hand
The
on my
stars
life,
aligned. The stars
guiding this.
aligned.
But so I had considered Edmonton, and for the same reason, it's just this is the area that I knew, right? Calgary was where I was born. Like I grew up in Banff, but this
home
is
for
the,
you.
this
It's
is home.
home.
This is the area. I
Yeah.
knew the city. I knew I wanted to live. All my family lives. So like there's all kinds of reasons. So I thought
Close to the mountains, like having grown
totally.
up
Like
there.
I knew,
yeah.
I knew what I knew what Calgary had to offer, and like it was home. And so I put my application into
Everything happens for a
CPS.
reason, Jo. I'm a big believer in that. People that do want to become police officers, they will. And ultimately, the universe will guide them to a particular place, and your heart is where your home is, and that's Calgary.
So packed up, moved into Calgary. There was a little bit of time in between when I left from Banff and when we were going to start classes. So got some work around Calgary as an electrician and waited for
Calgary
classes to
Tower
start.
story, tell it.
Okay. So the place that I got a job at before I started classes, one of the contracts they had was maintenance for one Palliser Square in the Calgary Tower. So we would be down there doing small projects, all kinds of electrical work. But one of the things we got to do was, at the time, it was all incandescent bulbs around the top of the Calgary Tower.
Yeah.
So every Friday, we got to go up, turn the lights on, put the harness on, and then go all the way around the roof
That is wild.
of the Calgary Tower, and like any bulbs that were burnt out, we go change them. But like spend every Friday afternoon.
How many stories is
walking
the
around.
Calgary Tower? Do you know?
No idea.
Big, tall,
Like it's
scary.
It's hundreds of feet tall.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's-
back
so
to
then
you.
clambering all around there and like climb up into the cauldron and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
That's super
That was,
cool.
that was one of the things I got to do.
So you got deployed to District 1 right out of
did.
classes, and one of your first experiences was original Red Mile.
Yeah. So it was an interesting time to get to be
Yeah.
a police officer in Calgary. So this is spring 2004. I actually found my recruit photo that we took on Scotsman's Hill. And I remembered, I'm like, oh, like you can see in the photo that the Calgary Tower's lit, and it's lit because of a Flames playoff game.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember they had the Hummer in
Yes.
recruiting?
Oh, yeah.
So we had the Hummer, so they had the recruit Hummer out, and we took our picture there. The reason we took it there was because one of our classmates was a die-hard Calgary Flames fan, like season ticket holder, everything. They were taking the picture that night. He's like, "There's a playoff game." He says, "If I'm not missing that."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm not missing that for a picture. It's not going to happen."
No.
So literally, we took the picture there during the second intermission of the playoff game. So he like. Buzzer goes. He runs from his seats in the Saddle Dome up the hill. He throws on a police uniform. We take the picture. He throws his Flames jersey back on and back into the
Oh, that's
game. So
Something
awesome.
we got to remember
Yeah.
too. This is during playoffs. It's near the end. It's wild. It's crazy. And the Flames were performing very well.
yeah, so that year, the 2004, they went all the way to the finals. But that was my introduction to policing. Was like that had sort of kicked up, and it was the first time it happened. So in a lot of ways, we weren't prepared for
Yeah.
it as the police. Like it was a challenge for us. But I just remember being like, you're this brand new baby cop. I'm down in Red Mile, and like everyone's like having a great time.
So
and
there's a lot of
high-fiving
people
and
that have
stuff.
never seen the Red Mile. They've only heard of the Red Mile. Can you just sort of paint that picture of what that actually looked like?
I remember, because I was in one district too
Ditto.
at the same time, and I remember that first game. I will never forget it. We were on 17th Avenue, and the game ended, and we won. Flames won, and 19,000 people just suddenly started parading down 17th, and we were like, high five. Like, we were just like, go
Yeah.
Flames, go.
Yeah.
Positive vibes,
Yeah.
keep it up. Yeah.
So yeah, and it happened pretty organically,
Yeah.
and it sort of just escalated through each round as like more and more people. It's kind of like
Became a
people
thing.
people would come down to 17th Avenue where there was a lot of bars and stuff, and I think that's when it became named the Red Mile. Was
Yeah.
they'd come down, and then the more people that came down, the more people wanted to come down, and
Yeah.
then we obviously had to kind of change our response and stuff like that. But a few things that that I learned or that I enjoyed in that age, like my introduction to policing of like just sort of this crazy environment you're working in where you got 250,000. Well, I don't know how many, but like 100,000
It was
people.
crazy, yeah.
You could
in
not
like
drive
10
down
blocks.
17
No,
Avenue.
no,
It was literally
we shut
shoulder
it
to
down,
shoulder.
yeah.
But the great thing about it was that everybody was happy. They were festive. It was a lot of fun, but like there was no getting a vehicle down that road.
No,
at all.
and we had
And it was
process
2
to
lanes
shut it
either way.
down,
It
and
was
like
4
yeah.
lanes.
And for me, it was a good introduction in just the ways that, I mean, we can still be the police, we can still do our
Yeah.
enforcement, but we don't have to be serious. You know what I mean?
totally.
Like this is a good time. Like people are having a good time. If they want to give you a high five, like yeah, go Flames, go. Like let's go,
Totally,
right? But
totally.
and
We're,
it was
we're people
fairly
too.
successful.
We're Flames
yeah.
fans too, right? So
Yeah. So yeah, that was my introduction. Then and then downtown, working downtown for about the next 6 years, which was awesome. I finally did figure out the one ways.
So
takes a while.
once you learn it, you know it, and you know all the alleys
Yeah.
and all this stuff. Something else that's super interesting is when you got your bricks. So for the people that out there that don't know, back then, if you got your bricks, there was some special pins where you received a Chiefs award for a particular reason. And you got yours. And which year did you get it? Do you remember? Like 2009?
Yeah.
Eight?
So it was I think the incident was 2008.
Yeah.
I
So
believe yeah.
if you'd share that story, that'd be great.
the bricks are is a life-saving award.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the Chiefs Award, there's a number of different Chiefs Awards that you can have, and so one particular category is a life-saving award, which is the one that I got. So I got that along with 3 other members who were involved in this incident. So basically what happened was an individual had called for an ambulance somewhere around 5th Avenue and 11th Avenue, 5th Street. So he called for an ambulance. He didn't really have any medical reason for it was. I remember the night, I think it was in January. It was like probably like minus $1 million. Like it was just
For
one of
sure.
those nights. It's just
Bitterly
like
cold.
it's too cold. Like it's too cold for anybody doing anything. And I think that might have been the crux of the issue for this guy. We didn't have as much social support for people during that time. So there was a little bit like they'll call an ambulance to take him to the hospital because it's minus 30 out.
Yeah,
So
want a place to sleep that's warm.
so one of another car crew had responded to speak with this male, and I think they're trying to deal with him about like, you know, hey, you don't really need an ambulance. You don't need an ambulance. You don't need to tie up medical resources. Like, is there somewhere else we can take you? Can we figure something out? He wasn't really happy with that, and then he made some comment about going to commit suicide, and then he ran from them. So he runs from them on 11th Avenue, and when they call it in, like we weren't involved in the call yet, but we're driving around, and essentially what he had done is run up to the CPR tracks, and then had kind of put himself over the barrier where 5th Street goes underneath. So when 5th Street's kind of an underpass that goes underneath, and so there's also like large like sewage lines or something that run kind of along this barrier. So he's basically over top of the barrier, standing on this pipe, and it's like 25 feet to the pavement below where 5th Street comes underneath. And so he's standing there, and the challenge is the members who've been dealing with him, like he jumped over a barbed wire fence that's fencing off the railroad, so they couldn't really get to him, and they're trying to talk to him from down there. So we kind of figured out where he was at. Me and my partner were driving around downtown. We figured out where he was at, so we're like, well, maybe we can get access from the other side of the railroad track. So we came in from the north side. There was 3 or 4 trains that were kind of already stopped there. It's a big siding for the railway company, and so we, like, smart or not, probably shouldn't be climbing over trains, but that's what we did, climbing over the trains. So we get to a point where we can see him. So now I can see him standing there, and I can sort of hear the members trying to negotiate with him, talk to him, say, hey, like, how, like, whatever they're saying. I can't hear what they're saying, but they're trying to talk this guy down. So I take up a position sort of over here, and then my partner goes like 2 or 3 cars down, so we sort of have a bit of an angle on him. And so I'm watching. And they're providing updates on the radio, and I'm like, okay, well, when he comes this way, like if he decides he's not going to jump and he's going to come this way, like we'll wait till he gets to us, we'll grab onto him, and then we'll be done. So that's what he does. He gets back over the barrier, and then he starts walking towards us. I'm like, perfect. This is awesome. Like, well, wait. Like he's sort of going to almost where my partner is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's going towards him. Awesome. But then I sort of look out, and then I look down the active line for the track, and I can see a train coming. And then this guy is
Worst
standing.
case scenario.
Yeah. So he's standing in the middle of the track, like with his arms out, waiting for the train to come. And about when I kind of figured out what was going on was when I see my partner, like, you know, dart from left to right after this guy. This guy looks and sees my partner coming for him. So then he books it back for the ledge. So it's like, you know, 2 more train tracks to the ledge. But so he starts running. I start running towards, and it was like pretty serendipitous timing. He kind of like hurdled the ledge, like put like 2 hands on it, like he was committed.
He was
to
fully
going.
committed.
And
yeah.
we like just through timing, like just happened to kind of both, like all 3 of us kind of collided at the same time, where we managed to grab hold of him. And so, I mean, you do what you do what you do, but so we kind of grabbed onto him, trying to see if we could pull him back over.
Yeah.
But he was fairly committed to going over that ledge.
So he has jumped over his
He
dangling.
jumped. Yeah. he
And
jumped.
you said before too that he was actually resisting you trying to continue to
He
fall.
was, and so at one point, so we're trying to fight, like pull him back over, which like it's really difficult to get a full sized human back up over something if they're kind of over a ledge like that. The ledge wasn't super high because it's not really a walking path or anything, but
Yeah.
we're trying to pull him back. I remember at some point he managed to get his feet like wrapped around that pipe.
Yeah.
And he's actually trying to use that to pull himself down out of our grasp. And it's like just me and my partner there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the issues with that, I mean, probably worst case scenario is that one of us gets pulled over too. So it's not really a good situation to be in. And so sometimes hindsight's 20/20, but we were there. There we were.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking up and looking down, and I can see down on 5 Street, like in my mind, it was like 400 cops,
Yeah.
but it's probably like
6.
6. But there's a lot of cops standing there just like watching us like,
A little help here?
yeah, literally, that's what I say. I'm yelling. I'm like, a little help here? Like, can someone, anyone? So finally, the 2 guys that had originally dealt with them, they sort of found a way through. I don't know how they got up, but they finally got to where we were, and we were able to finally get this guy back over off the ledge. But apparently, they ran into him a week later or something, and he thanked us for helping him. But that was sort of how that night ended.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so wild. That's crazy.
And for the people that are listening, this type of call can happen at any given time. We have attended, because I worked down in one district for a short time as well, for a few years. And the variety of chaos that happens down there, you can't like sit down and dream it up. It just happens, right? I do know, J.O., that right around 2010, you got very interested in hawk. But again, it was by accident. It's not something that you were looking at doing. Can you describe that?
So, yeah, so it's been interesting as I look back at my career, is like some of the things that I've found the most value in is stuff that I didn't really consider, but when I got on, I had an idea of maybe some things I wanted to do, and my career hasn't taken the path that I'd planned, and it's been a good thing. And like airborne law enforcement or being
air
a
support
flight
units,
officer in
yeah.
air support in the helicopters, one of those. Like I thought it was cool. We had a helicopter, didn't give much thought to it. It would come out on calls. One thing about working downtown is there's not a ton of calls they help out on just because of the geography. Like it's
And the buildings and
not
all
as
that stuff.
common. But I just remember being on a call that I was sort of primary investigator on, and I had to get some video from Hawks, and I went up and met one of our flight officers, just like one of the best flight officers we had. Was super.
Was it
super
Scratch?
helpful? No, this is Tat.
Okay.
So went up and met Tat, and then he showed me a video, and he's like, "Hey, like, you want to come for a flight?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Like, I've never been in a helicopter. Like, I've been in a plane once. Like, that's it." And so I went up for a flight, and like as soon as we were airborne off the airfield, I'm like, "Yeah, I could do this.
I could do this.
Yeah,
Instantly,
this would be good." So I had an interest in that and started working towards that, and then in 2010, I managed to get myself into the unit as one of the tactical flight officers. So, yeah, it's good. Just to explain how that unit works, and in the air crews that we have in Hawks Helicopter, there's 2 positions. We have 2 people that are in that aircraft. So we have civilian pilots. So we basically, it's sort of the merging of 2 professions. You have the law enforcement side and the
Expertise.
aviation side. So we bring the experts in from both sides. And so we have a civilian pilot that flies the aircraft. And then we have what we call a tactical flight officer, which was my role, which is the experienced police officer. And I work the radios, I work the camera equipment, I work all of basically run the mission, so to speak, from that and provide the support to the ground unit. So I had the privilege of doing that for 4 years.
Got any stories?
We get first out on crashes quite often, but not typically plane crashes because they don't tend to happen. We were out on a patrol flight one day, and I just remember kind of in the background I had heard this interaction between this aircraft and ATC, and it had launched out of Springbank.
Air traffic control.
Yeah, sorry, air traffic control. It had launched out of Springbank, and I remember because like in that environment, like you don't tell people off, but like there's more polite ways to tell people things, and there's some things that are basically where you kind of get told. And so because the controller's controlling all airspace around Calgary, basically this pilot wasn't doing what he wanted him to do, and sort of on the western edge of his zone. And at one point, I just remember him basically telling him to get lost, and as best he could, is like, hey, like, you can't follow what I'm doing, get out of my airspace. And he says, well, I was just kind of having a bit of an issue. I says, okay, well, like, just go west and get out of my airspace, because like, I don't like what you're doing. I'm controlling the big guys, like, you're just this small little plane. Well, a few minutes later, this guy disappears from his radar. And
not a good thing.
No, not at all. I can't imagine what that controller's going through. So then he's like, oh no. And I believe he had like a emergency locator transmitter, like the one that would go off if the plane goes in. So now he's panicking, and which rightly so. And so they're starting their procedures, but he's like, he calls us up. He says, hey, is there a chance that you could go out and look, like, and just see, right? Because it's difficult for them to find. And it was, they'd last had him sort of in the area out by Lock End Road, like sort of northwest of, like north of Bearspaw, kind of in that area. Yeah. So he sort of gives us the last location. So we fly out there, and then, sure enough, we find this plane, and it had sort of plowed into the ground. And I'm like, oh. So then I
sinks.
Yeah, I throw my camera down on there, and like, it's lost the tail and like half of a wing. And then there's a guy standing there, and he's like just pulling his suitcases out of the back.
Jeez.
All right. So we didn't have enough fuel to stay on station for a long time. So we had to either like leave, or we could land, and then obviously you can shut down, and then you still have enough fuel to get back. So we decided there was a spot where we landed. The pilot put us down there, and then I went over, and the pilot, there's just one guy in the plane, and he's standing there, and I'm like, you okay? He's like, yep. Cool.
Jeez.
So there I am, like, first out on a plane crash. I'm like, all right.
Well, see you later.
Here we are. Is there an accident form for this? Like, I don't know. Like, is there a license plate on this thing?
Forms, but not for airplanes.
Yeah, I don't know how to do
Can I
this one.
see your license and registration, please?
So my understanding was that he was a twin engine aircraft, and he had lost one of his engines, which the aircraft can operate on, but that particular aircraft, because of the altitude, couldn't maintain that altitude. Like, it could operate on one engine, but like to like 3,500 feet, and the terrain out there is like 4,000 feet. So there's a little bit of a difference between those. So he had ended up, quite luckily, he hit sort of one hill, and then that took off most of his speed, and then he landed sort of on another plateau and kind of spun out. And like I said, the plane was a write-off, but he was unhurt. So I thought it wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting. So no suitcases of cocaine. I don't know. Well, actually, I didn't check them. Maybe there was
I was waiting for the story to go that way, because that's usually how the story goes. No, he was just going to a place, and he crashed, and he was just pulling out his stuff like nothing.
If I was a better investigator, maybe I would have found the cocaine. He tells a story about how he crashed the plane, and the cops didn't even check for the kilos of cocaine, right?
That's probably why you ended up becoming a trainer in the field training unit. So I know that after your time with the air support unit, you ultimately went back home. You went back to District 1, which is downtown, and your path really took you very hard and fast towards the field training unit. Can you describe how that unfolded and let us know about that? Yeah,
so another sort of a career path or passion, for lack of a better term, that I wasn't really on my radar when I started was in like instructing, in training, right? And providing instruction and courses to members. And where I picked it up mostly was I got involved in doing training for flight officers when I was in air support. And I really, really enjoyed that. Like, I really enjoyed the idea of taking somebody and like teach them how to be a flight officer, and like how rewarding it is to have that person be a better flight officer than you were. You know what I mean? Like your ability to sort of have a part of that, of somebody else being really good at what they do. And so when I went back to District 1, an opportunity came up for me to go to a field training unit on a secondment for a year. And so it was a good chance for me to continue that on. And since then, like, I did a year secondment with the field training, and then a new position came up in our incident command, well, it was a unit at the time, but our incident command training team, and I took that position. So I've spent a good portion of my career in an instructor role, like in a training role. And in the incident command zone, right? So about 7 years of that was in the incident command unit. So primarily our role is to do the instruction for incident commanders. So our frontline supervisors, basically training them to run critical incidents, like run the street, to be in command of, say, the more higher risk or the more major police incidents. And just, throughout my time there, found it like very, very rewarding. Like, it's like, there's nothing I find more rewarding than like hearing somebody that I had a little hand in maybe training a little bit. Like it's
Yeah.
mostly them, but
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, like that guy came through my course and I can hear him out on the street and like they're like knocking it out of the park. I'm like, yeah, I'm like that's awesome to like just have a little piece of that.
I think that the job you guys did in the incident command world was really awesome because it wasn't like you actually trained. So people like it's an intimidating role to suddenly, especially as an actor or whatever, an acting sergeant, to go into the role of running the street, right?
Yeah.
Running a critical incident. So like the things that you guys did in the incident command unit was like how to help people make those decisions
Yeah.
and understand what resources were available to them. And I think you guys did such a great job, not only with the incident command and the higher levels, but even for people who are just learning that leadership role and just learning like how they can be better followers. Do you know what I mean? Like underneath the district sergeant. So
Yeah, it was a tremendous opportunity. When I went in, my sergeant was John Warren, who had a lot of experience, like super experienced, very smart guy. And we had an opportunity to sort of rebuild our incident command training program, and then take like a real step back and be okay. What's the best way to do this? And the unique thing about the incident command training side is that it's 100% like cognitive skills.
Yeah.
There's no physical skills that go with it. Like
Yeah.
a lot of policing stuff like has to do with like
Get
some
in there.
physical skill. It's a firearm skill. It's a you're using a CEW. There's some kind of physical skill that goes with it. This one's like it's cognitive, right? It's like understanding what's going on. It's making decisions. It's communicating. It's all of these things. And so, really looking into the way we've trained that in the past and how can we make that better, right? And like for myself, what I enjoy is like just pushing that boundary, like for performance. Like how do we make our training better so that we can make our police officers better, right? And a lot of that, like so much of that comes down to like those cognitive skills, like understanding what's going on. In the years of being involved in training and reviewing incidents and doing all kinds of stuff, like for myself, like the two biggest skills we need to teach police officers, the first one is what you would call sense making. It's understanding what's going on. Because oftentimes when things go sideways in policing or law enforcement, it's because somebody didn't understand what's going on. And there could be reasons for that, but like if you don't fully appreciate what's going on, then sometimes it doesn't matter how well you do all the other stuff. And then a second piece to that, which is really huge in like your ability to perform those functions, is that emotional regulation. And that's everything from controlling anger, you know what I mean? Because like
For sure.
there's bad things that happen. There's things that you are legitimately justified in being very angry about.
for sure.
But it's not necessarily a useful thing to have. It's not necessarily useful to be super angry about something when you're having to deal with an offender, you're having to deal with something. And so that's a piece of emotional regulation. The other piece is just being able to calm yourself in an incredibly high stress situation to the point where your motor function is, your motor function is good enough, right? Because if you get really stressed, like the arms and limbs start doing whatever it is they want to do. And big thing is just your cognitive skills, like your ability to understand what's going on, your ability to remember things, your ability to make decisions, like your ability to communicate. All of that stuff starts to go away. And from what we know from the research is it's not necessarily a slow decline. Like there's a point that you can get to, and we colloquially call it going code black, but there's a point where you go to where everything can just drop off. And so the whole point of it for the training is designing training where we can give our recruits those skills. Some people, obviously people come from different careers, or people just naturally maybe have more ability to handle that, but it's a big piece of being a police officer is the ability to emotionally regulate, to be able to handle that. Yeah.
That's I kind of want to wrap it up. I think that's a great way to like that sort of final thought of that, what you need to do and have the skills you need to have to be a police officer. So do you see, is this what you want to do for the rest of your career? You want to stay and be a trainer and sort of make these decisions?
Promotion.
To be honest, don't have much time left in my career, so there's dwindling options for that. But yeah, I do really enjoy training. I never say never. I don't see much that's coming up in the next few years is gonna suck me out of it. So
Are you going to
I'm
come
happy
back
here
to
for
run
now.
with a recruiter? That's what I want to
See.
know.
Yes.
She doesn't like my music.
5:30.
eh?
Yeah.
doesn't like the music.
He's the
No.
worst DJ.
Yeah, I got a confession to
I'm
make.
still stuck in
what?
90s dance, bro.
I have to make a confession on that.
What?
That's not my playlist.
Whoa. My heart.
I just shattered everything.
My whole heart. Jo, thank you so much
Yeah,
for being
thanks,
here.
brother.
Amazing stories. You're so fun to talk to.